I'll tell you what, you're in for a real treat tonight. We have got some top professionals here tonight that are going to talk to you about great ways to be able to invest. Okay, so to get right into it, ladies and gentlemen, our first guest speaker is a man who has extensive experience in the property investment industry, who provides research, feasibility studies and quality products to clients throughout Australia. So he's got significant background in the industry. He's started in the industry by completing his trade in carpentry. If my husband always says that carpentry is, or not carpentry, but having a trade is the backbone of everybody. Start off with a trade and you can do anything. As well as working in sales, marketing and management for 30 years. His knowledge of the industry is vast, with extensive involvement with the investment housing groups, developers and builders. Please join me in giving a very warm welcome to Graeme of BURBS Properties. Take the stage.
Thank you. Thanks to Vicky and Alan for having us here tonight. Just a very brief overview of BURBS. Small family business. My wife Lorraine's part of our business, and my son Jack has just finished year 12. We're going to uni. He does a little bit of work for us as well, so dragged him along as well tonight to listen up. BURBS, a bit of background further on myself. I do come from a trade background. I've worked in the industry as a carpenter back in I won't say many years ago, that was. And that got me into the building industry, and I've worked predominantly within the building industry all my working life. I've worked through with builders, I've worked with supply companies, and I've worked with developers in all different facets. Over the last probably 10 years, I general managed a building company and saw opportunities during that time where people were investing a lot into investment properties, particularly new investment properties, and saw an opportunity where my business developed. Predominantly what I do is I deal with builders and developers around the country. I research locations, whether that be, for example, North Queensland. We'll go into certain locations like Townsville and do research document on that. We deal with the builders and developers in there and put packages together. We deal with real estate people and talk to them about the rental opportunities, etc. So predominantly we're a facilitator of all of that. So somebody who's looking to an investment property can come to us and we guide them through that process. We then work in consultation with Aussie to then do the financing. So we don't get involved in the financing side, we leave that to the experts to do that. We work in conjunction with accountants, etc., to do all of the tax benefits that you're going to get from your investment properties. So we're really working with you to get your best result. We have a number of people that came about from saying, look, I really want to buy an investment, where do I start, where do I go, what do I do? And that's really where we've started from. What I thought about tonight was touching on why Queensland. I mean, we do properties throughout Australia. As you probably would best know, each state at different times during different cycles have better capital gains than others. Queensland over many years has been very good. It's probably in the last 2 years been reasonably stagnant, very little growth, but certain locations are going along quite nicely. What we do know about Queensland, it's one of the fastest growing regions in Australia. They're saying to us that by 2026 the population will grow to around 6 million. These are based on, when you do the statistics on this, they do low, medium and high. I generally look at the medium location when I'm talking these sorts of figures. By that time we'll be getting very close to the population size of Victoria. I think by 2050 we'll probably, on current trends, go into being the second largest state. So there's continual growth within the regions. There is housing can't keep up with the demand that's required for the population growth that's going on. So as I say, by 2050 we'll be the second largest one. The infrastructure, one of the problems with growth is having infrastructure keep up with that growth. Queensland has been leading that, and you can see very quickly by the graph, it will show you in each year how much Queensland has been spending, and starting from in 2004 and 5, not a lot compared to what they're spending now. So it's really a lot of catch-up they're having to do with infrastructure, and of course with the disaster we've just had, a lot more money's having to be spent again. But it is, the money is being spent, and you can see that. Probably the two states within Australia so driven by mining is Western Australia and Queensland. All of the recent announcements of the coal steam gas throughout the Sarat Basin is all the announcements have been made, and there was one very significant one made during the course of the floods last week, which I think made about page 8, which was Santos 15 billion, I think it was, in their pledge to the Sarat and Gladstone, and the port of Gladstone. So there's big money being spent not only in the coal steam gas, but also in the coal minings throughout the central and upper Queensland region. You only need to fly into Mackay and look out to sea to see all of the ship carriers out there just lining up, and particularly now they're lining up and been sit there for quite some time because they just can't get in there loaded. So we look at, when we do that, we look at locations, for example, Bowen. They've just spent $2 billion on the port facility there, automating it, making it one of the most upmarket automated ports for coal. That's been spent at the moment. So Bowen is one of those regions where we've got property going into, renting at about $500 a week for a purchase, somewhere between $475 and $490 at the moment. We go into Emerald. We talk about Emerald. Well, unfortunately, it copped a lot of water. I think half the town was pretty well flooded. A couple of the locations, and what we do when we do our research is look at our developers and say, where have you got the land? We view the land. We've got one estate out there at the moment, which is the only one that was high and dry. So that's going to be something good for the future coming up, and there's a lot of work coming out in Emerald. So mining does drive it. Don't be frightened to invest into regional locations, but be important which ones we go into. There's plenty of stories I can give you. A lady that bought a property 2 years ago for $450,000, currently worth about $650, getting $900 a week rent. Now, those sort of things can happen, depends on where the location's going. That was in Moranbah. No land there at the moment, even though we're working on some townhouse sites. So, mining does drive it. Options to buy. We've always been very strong about CBD, buying around CBD. Queensland gives us the one option where we've got some very large regional locations to look at. These are only some. I'm not saying this is where we go, but for example, in the northern suburbs, we do a lot in North Lakes. North Lakes have been very, very good long term. It's a Stockland development, planned, master plan, golf course through the middle. It's done super well for a long time. Coming towards the end of its years, it's probably got another 2 years of land. So much so that Stockland closed their major office facility there and just working out of land sales offices now. Adjacent North Lakes is Dacabin. Dacabin, people know where the Elmer Park Zoo is. In and around that location, all the land has been designated for development. And even the Elmer Park Zoo has been just recently approved for a 150 lot, I think it was, subdivision. So that's going to be going. So we're doing a fair bit in that location. It's going to be one of those we get in now. It's renting well and will grow close to the city, close to transport, all the things going for it. South side, Greater Springfield, I don't know if anyone's been down around the Springfield location. It's a massive development, long term. We'll touch on these and go to the next one. I'll just flick through these as we go. North Lakes, that tell you all 25 k's from the CBD. It is a master plan development, and keep going with those. Population and demographics, we always look at to see where the forecast of population, and this is in the Moreton Bay Regional Council. So we look at where it was at in 2006 to where it is going and seeing good growth of population. It's going to be a driving force for future requirements for rental in the region. We always look at the economic profile, what's going on, and as we know through that northern belt there's good light industrial work and large employment. In fact, if you look at North Lakes, it's going to create 13,000 jobs just within North Lakes itself, with Westfields and all the other things that are going in there. Nice place to live. I don't think I have to sell Queensland to people who live in Queensland, but when we're talking around the country, we do talk about weather and climate and so forth. That's the aerial view of North Lakes, Bruce Highway to the Sunshine. You don't realise how close it actually gets to the bay. It's a very well planned development. A little bit on Dackerton as well. This sort of stuff is what we do for you. Down when we get to the Greater Springfield, where I was talking just a moment ago, Springfield is takes the greater region takes the whole lot in. It's where Brentwood Rise, Augustine Heights, Brookwater Golf Club, the Greg Norman design, of course, and the whole development. One of the estates, there's plenty of them there, but one of the estates we've got in there is the Outlook. There's got, in Springfield itself, we'll just hold it on that for a moment, mate. It's a set of Australia's fastest growing region. They're forecasting more than 100,000 residents in a catchment of 500 going in here. They're creating a city within and around Springfield. The health precinct is huge. They're bringing in, and we haven't seen any of this sort of development there yet, but the CBD will be as big in size as Brisbane CBD. It's going to become a major focal point to the south-western populated area. Springfield Central, they've all designed, all approved, they've got lakes, they've got gardens, and then everything goes out from that. The Health City, which they're calling it, on completion will house 12,000 people by day and 8,000 people by night. It's significant of what they're putting into it and all the stuff that's going. So these are the things that we look at when we're looking at long-term. If you're going to buy an investment property, we're looking long-term here. We're not looking at something we're going to buy today and sell tomorrow. We're going to do that, it's called speculative. We're going to go into that, it's a whole different manner and a whole different way of looking at it. If we're going into buying a property today, we're going into buying it for long-term. And what we want is the rental to give you an income source while we let the capital growth do its job. I've put in a little brief on Townsville. Townsville's not totally dominated by the mining industry. Whilst it has a lot to do with it, it has a lot